The decision to step back from G20 engagements arises from circumstances beyond the South African government's control. Without an invitation from the US host, South Africa would not be able to take part in leadership meetings, working groups, or summit-level deliberations. This forced Pretoria into its decision, which is described as a temporary setback shaped by diplomatic constraints.
And having hosted the most successful G20 summit in South Africa, it becomes quite unfortunate that South Africa is not invited to participate in the activities of the G20. That continuation of what happened in South Africa could also be missed. And my sense is that there should be a commitment from those who participated in South Africa to ensure that the agreements that have been reached are actually carried through.
Ndou warns that the move could weaken Africa's representation in the G20, but added that other G20 members should be able to champion the continent's cause in the meantime.
South Africa has been there in the G20 for quite some time. And I think they have got a good understanding of the dynamics and the activities taking place at the G20 level in terms of the progress that we should get through our participation in the G20. We can only rely on the other G20 member states in terms of how do they ensure that the commitments that were made in South Africa and the level of continuation has to take place in the US.
The pause in the country's G20 participation comes at a time when South Africa is actively strengthening its ties with the African Union, BRICS Plus, and South-South partnerships. Some caution that this does not mean that South Africa is ready to abandon relations with the West.
It should not be seen as though South Africa is moving away from Western partners. Tensions are high between Washington and Pretoria. So this should be seen as a strategic shift temporarily to say, let's pause and shy away from attending the G20. And it's temporary. I don't think it should be seen as something that is permanent here.
However, some critics say that with this move, South Africa may face risks in financing and trade, especially with US-linked institutions. But Sean Masemula believes that investors will likely be more patient with the situation.
Investors will be looking at different variables, especially in terms of the markets. But I don't think we should expect dramatic shifts, because I think what investors are waiting for now, not just investors, but a lot of financial institutions are waiting for economic policy consistency. So they'll be looking at from here on what happens.
The G20 group of nations includes the world's top economies, as well as the European Union and the African Union regional blocs. It accounts for 85% of the world's GDP and 2/3 of its population. South Africa plans to return to the G20 once the leadership moves to the United Kingdom in 2027. Yoli Sanjamela for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.